Blog Talk Radio.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
In Dallas, Texas, 3 shots were fired at President Kennedy's motorcade in downtown Dallas. The first reports say that President Kennedy has been seriously wounded by this shooting.
It is a big idea, a new world order.
It was almost as if it were a planned implosion. It just pancaked.
Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists.
But I also believe that a lot of gun owners would agree that AK-47s belong in the hands of soldiers, not in the hands of criminals.
Now let's set the record straight. There's no argument over the choice between peace and war. But there's only one guaranteed way you can have peace, and you can have it in the next second. Surrender. Admittedly, there's a risk in any course we follow other than this, but every lesson of history tells us that the greater risk lies in appeasement. And this is the specter our well-meaning liberal friends refuse to face, that their policy of accommodation is appeasement. And it gives no choice between peace and war, only between fight or surrender. If we continue to accommodate, continue to back and retreat, eventually we have to face the final demand, the ultimatum. And what then? When Nikita Khrushchev has told his people, he knows what our answer will be. He has told them that we're retreating under the pressure of the Cold War, and someday, when the time comes to deliver the final ultimatum, our surrender will be voluntary, because by that time, we will have been weakened from within spiritually, morally, and economically. He believes this because from our side he's heard voices pleading for peace at any price, or better rev than death, or as one commentator put it, he'd rather live on his knees than die on his feet. And therein lies the road to war, because those voices don't speak for the rest of us. You and I know and do not believe that life is so dear and peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery. If nothing in life is worth dying for, when did this begin? Just in the face of this enemy? Or should Moses have told the children of Israel to live in slavery under the Pharaohs? Should Christ have refused the cross? Should the patriots at Concord Bridge have thrown down their guns and refused to fire the shot heard round the world? The martyrs of history were not fools. And our honored dead, who gave their lives to stop the advance of the Nazis, didn't die in vain. Where then is the road to peace? Well, it's a simple answer after all. You and I have the courage to say to our enemies, there is a price we will not pay, there is a point beyond which they must not advance. Winston Churchill said the destiny of man is not measured by material computations. When great forces are on the move in the world, we learn we're spirits, not animals. He said there's something going on in time and space and beyond time and space, which, whether we like it or not, spells duty. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
Hello?
if you all can hear me, I'm Alvin Robinson, running for State Senate District 26 here in North Carolina.
Okay, can you hear me now, Mr. Robinson?
Yes, sir. I got you now.
Okay. Sorry about these are the technical problems that we've been having. I don't know if it's because of the storms or whatnot, but anyway, we're live and everyone can hear you. So go ahead and continue on, sir. I'm sorry.
All righty. Yes, sir. Well, thanks for having me. Again, as I begin to introduce myself a minute ago there, again, my name's Alvin Robinson. I am running for North Carolina State Senate District 26, which is all of Rockingham County and about a third of Guilford County, the northern part of Guilford from Stokesdale. It does skip most of Summerfield, and then it picks up Oak Ridge, Brown Summit, McLeansville, Gibsonville, Whitsett, down into Julian, southeast Guilford. So, again, I am a native of Guilford County, but I have also worked in Rockingham County back 2019 through 2020. So I am familiar with the district, both geographically as well as the culture of the different counties, the feel. I've worked in government for almost 19 years. I was a firefighter with the city of Greensboro, nearly 19 years, and then the latter 8 of that nearly 19-year period, I was a sheriff's deputy with Guilford County Sheriff's Office, a part-time deputy, and it wasn't until late 2021 that I lost employment with both of those agencies. I was fired, not because I did anything wrong, but merely because I stood up for my sincerely held religious conviction related to my body as a Christian. As a Christian, my body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. As a Christian, I recognize that God, our Creator, designed my body a certain way, even to where if I do get sick, when we take care of our bodies, eating right, exercising, things like that, our bodies will actually heal themselves. God just made it that way. And
you're well loved on this show. You're going to be well loved on this show then, because everyone on this show that calls in, we don't believe in taking that jab.
That's right. That's
you're
right.
amongst friends here.
Yes, sir. That's good to know. And it's not only about the jab, but it's also just going along with the false narrative and going along with, or rather not going along with that, and not going along with any of the lies related to the pandemic is what it really was.
Yes.
And so I did not go along with those things, because if I were to do that, I would be lying, and my God tells me not to lie. So long story short, I'm running for State Senate District 26 to restore, by the grace of God. I recognize that I cannot do it on my own. I'm just a mere man. But to restore truth and righteousness back to the public square, we look at our founding documents, our federal and our state constitution, and both of these documents, the Declaration of Independence even, have a very high regard for who God is as Creator and as the one who, when we honor Him, we receive the blessings of liberty. Apart from honoring Him, there is no liberty, and there is no blessing, and there's only His wrath and His judgment. And so we're seeing that come down upon our nation right now. And again, I'm no savior, but the Savior has called His chosen ones, His people, to go out and to be a reflection of who He is in the world. And so by the grace of God, I look to represent those in State Senate District 26 on that basis, basically to, represent them consistently with what God has said about His creation, the created order. So I support life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness under God. So again, that's in a nutshell who I am.
You said a mouthful there. That's great. Listen, everything you just said is basically what I stand for and what I stood for on my platform also, and I've been standing for many years now. I did not know that you were fired because we did many shows on that. We had a United States Air Force colonel on here that was also fired for refusing to take the shot. And that was a big thing, and I remember having her on. This was about a year and a half ago. So I wish I would have known that. I would have had you on sooner to bring some attention to that, because I didn't hear that, and I'm surprised. Did it make the media, the local media around here, or have they brought that up as an issue?
No, it didn't make the media. And I will say, before we go too far, the way those policies were written, it didn't say that you had to take the jab. But it said that if you did not produce documentation that proves that you had taken the jab, that you had to undergo weekly testing. And, even that, one, it would be participating in the lie. But even that, for me, was against my sincerely held religious convictions, as those swabs that were used to conduct the testing were sterilized with ethylene oxide, I believe it's called. It's a known carcinogen. And so why would I put a known carcinogen into my temple?
Correct.
Correct. So on a regular basis, no time in history have we ever had to do that. So we still don't know what the outcome of that type thing is, 4 or 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line. And so, long story short, I just wanted to say that. But no, the media didn't give it any recognition, or rather any attention. And so my family and I have been just standing up, and standing against these things really before. But that was a time where we actually, in taking a stand, it cost us something. Cost us the Lord. I've been able to lay my head down on the pillow every night since then, rest easy, knowing that I did not violate my God-given conscience. I did not violate my rights of conscience, even though the city of Greensboro and Guilford County Sheriff's Office did violate that. I didn't violate God. So I encourage people to, no matter what, to not violate their consciences before God. God has given us a conscience, and the conscience is where we recognize our guilt or our innocence when it's a properly informed conscience. What I mean by that is a conscience informed by truth. And that's the importance of truth and righteousness being in the public square.
Okay, that's awesome. Well, since you did not hear my intro because the lines were messed up, and this happened on another podcast show last night, I believe, also. But since you didn't hear my intro, I opened up with a little bit of this here in Rockingham County. We know we had the casino issue that I stood against the issue, and we have this mass tearing down of our woods and our natural areas. And everyone knows on this podcast show that I preach about my woods behind my home and the natural areas and the wooded area. Well, this week they started tearing down the natural area in the woods behind my home, acres and acres and acres for some development. And they told me that originally 2 years ago, when they were zoning it off, that they were going to put a sewer drainage in a power station along 220 there. Well, now I call the county. Now come to find out they're planning on putting a subdivision back here. And this is off the Friddle Road, Red Oak Drive area. And, so I'm beside myself right now. So my mind is going a million miles a minute right now. Because this is the reason why I bought this house, because it's a corner lot. And there's woods and woods and woods and, trails, 4-wheeler trails. And, and I go hiking back there and hunting and I for my peace of mind and serenity. And now they're gone. They're gone. In 2 days' time, they wiped out probably about 60 acres worth of land already. And it just looks terrible, devastating. But you see in Rockingham County, you go along 158, they've done a lot of tearing down these woods along up and down 220. What's your position on that? I mean, as far as the building goes, and because look, my suggestion is this: we have in downtown Reedsville shopping centers that are abandoned, that are empty for years and years now. Why not use those areas for redevelopment or light industrial regrowth instead of ripping down our natural areas and making the county look like an eyesore, if you ask me, when people drive down the highway now and they see this stuff. I mean, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, let me just first say that I think that Rockingham County is one of the prettiest, most beautiful areas anywhere close by, and so I hate to hear that that's happening, and I hate to see that that's happening just from that personal note. But, I have to look at what the people want, and I will say that similar to you, what I'm hearing from the people in that area is that they don't want that.
Correct.
And so, it's a matter of, they often these type things are sold on. I heard you mention the casinos and things like that. These things are sold to the people on, there'll be economic development and jobs and things like that. And with those type developments, casinos especially, there's only a few people who stand to have economic development and to benefit, right? And those are the people who put it there, who usually don't live anywhere close by, and don't want to live anywhere close by. They really want to make their living off of the backs of poor people and things of that nature. And so, again, if that's what's happening there, which I think you and I know and would agree that is exactly what the ideas are. I don't stand for it. There's not only the issue of it looks bad, but importantly, there's the issue of morality. Casinos, for an example, as you know, it's not only the gambling, but it's the other types of immorality that it invites close by. It's the drug use, the alcohol. It's affect all of those things ultimately affect the family, which is really at the core of our society. And our families are already messed up and struggling for various reasons. We don't need to bring things into our state that will be a further contributory factor to that. We look at places that have already had, for a long time, had that type development and bringing in this and that, and we see that they shortly after those areas begin to deteriorate. And so, long story short, I know I'm going a long ways, but I disagree with that type of development. If it's truly in the best interest of the people, let's do it. But when the people speak and they say, no, we don't want this, if it's not a moral issue, then it's not in their best interest. It's in the best interest of maybe a few people, but not
exactly.
Not as a whole.
Exactly. Well, let me ask you this then, because we do have a lot of people listening from Rockingham County right now, and we have a lot of people listening from around the country too, actually, because I'm more of a worldwide audience. But what is your position as far as what can you do for us that's different than your opponent? I'm not going to, of course, talk about your opponent too much. I don't do that. I don't play that game. I just want to know about you and what you represent, and what you're going to bring to the table for us residents here in Rockingham County. So I pretty much free will, let you, no tough questions. Just go ahead and tell me what you plan on doing, or what your vision is, and what you see, and what you can do to, lead the residents.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes,
I know we got it. Did you hear my question pretty much?
Yes, I heard your question. Yes, sir. So,
okay. All right, take your time.
Yes, sir. So again, I'm the same way. I don't want to throw mud and that type of thing. Sometimes it becomes necessary in our explanations to speak to factual things that we know an political opponent may be doing or have done, but that's not my aim as far as to sling mud and those type things. What can I do for Rockingham County? Well, again, I kind of spoke to it earlier, I think, in my introduction. First and foremost, I care to represent the people. So that's going to take me getting to know the people beyond, what I already know. Again, I've worked in Rockingham County. I understand that it's a rural county. There are a few cities and townships there, lovely cities and townships, by the way. the quaintness of those areas we really love. And so it would seem to me that that's what the people want, because I've noticed over the years, not even since I've been running for office, but that anytime a big developer wants to come in and to try kind of change the landscape of Rockingham County, by and large the people reject it. And so what can I do for you is I can act consistently with my how I'm supposed to act in the role of a representative in the Senate. I believe in limited and transparent government. And so, it's I will not overstep my constitutional authority, or rather my constitutional the abilities, I might
responsibility.
say. Responsibilities
within the Constitution.
Within the Constitution, I won't overstep those things, And so that's one thing. There's a lot more that we could talk about, because as you know, and as your listeners know, not only am I opposing the incumbent, who is a said conservative, but I'm also opposing a Democrat, and there's some things on his agenda or within his platform that I can, by God's grace, I will work to protect you all from. And some of those things don't only affect Rockingham County, but they also affect all of these things statewide. And so what I'm referring to is life itself. One of the main responsibilities of government is to uphold the Constitution. The Constitution, both state and federal constitutions, they speak to the right to life. And so, really neither the incumbent or the Democrat candidate, neither are doing, one is not doing all he could do to protect life, and the other, he's really not protecting life at all. And so I am an abortion abolitionist, and so I will work to protect the lives, again, not only those in Rockingham and Guilford counties, but really statewide.
So you're a Constitution Party, right? You're running under you're registered as a Constitution Party. Am I correct?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't even know that. Oh my goodness! Wow. Something was blank in my mind. I was wondering. Now I can figure it out. Wow, that's great. Okay. Well, that's what we need. We need a different voice. We need another party in there. Absolutely, this is awesome. And I am praying, and I am behind you 100%. I mean, and this is what we need. We got it. The Republican and Democrat, it's the same thing. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. And we need another voice, to represent the people. I mean, that's amazing. That's great. And your opponents, like you said, we're not going to get into the bashing contest, but we know the Republican opponent you have is well established, been there for a while now, and a lot of the people appear to be upset, but he's got the machine behind him, and then you got the liberal side where they're just, well, we don't need, there is no words for them. So I don't know what issues or why they stand for the issues that they do. I mean, but we still have to work with each other at the same time. But I don't know how you can make deals with the devil. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, and on that note, not many, but some have asked, why are you doing this? There's a chance, or rather, that you're going to split the conservative vote. Well, again, if we always have that type mentality that a political strategy for getting a particular party in office is more important than truth and righteousness, then we're going to continue to back up into the hole, deeper into the hole than what we already are.
That's right.
And so again, I certainly don't want a liberal to win and to be our representative, or to represent me in government. And so
Correct.
that's why I've a part of the reason why I've stepped forward to do this is because truth and righteousness needs to be in the public square. If the incumbent was doing that, I'd be glad to sit down. I'd be glad to let them go another 24 years. But this is not something that you just are loving, just wanting to do. Like if that's the feeling or sentiment behind it, you really got to question a person's motive. And again, it's you lose a lot when you're going to do this the right way. You're going to lose a lot. And I'm a human being, so I don't really care to lose my stuff, But it becomes
well, it takes courage what you're doing. I gotta say, it takes courage what you're doing, and I respect that a lot, and that's great. We need someone like you, definitely, to stand out, apart from the other parties. Yeah, our founders pledged their lives, their fortunes, their sacred honor. That we would have what we've enjoyed. People our age have enjoyed for so long, and our children and grandchildren. It's kind of hard to see it being anything that resembles what you and I may have grown up in. And so that's why I'm willing, by God's grace, to go forth and to do my part in my the rest of the time I have here on this earth to see to it as much as humanly possible that things are held in place, that they would enjoy that liberty that God gives us. That's right. And you're thinking of your children's future. It's so very, very important. It's just and that's what we always talk about. We got to get our kids back in order, and so they understand what type of country that they're in right now, because they're not being taught through the public education system right now. Really, we got pretty good schools in Rockingham County, but statewide, like you just mentioned earlier, we've got some bad districts that just are not teaching right. They're not teaching the right stuff that needs to be taught, and that worries me very much. That's correct. Yeah. So as far as Rockingham County goes, what type of reception are you getting from the voters right now? Have you been out hitting the streets? What have you been doing, if you don't mind me asking? Sure. Yeah, I've done some of that, and would love to be able to do more. Knocking on doors in a couple of the neighborhoods. I ran last cycle, in case you didn't know that, but I did, and during that cycle, I was able to actually get into or walk the streets and talk to business owners and all. And so I plan to do some more of that in the coming weeks and all. I do have, thankfully, a team up there that, and I say up there because Rockingham is north of Guilford here, but up there who is, they've got their feet on the ground and, campaigning for me, with me, and so it's going good. Reception overall is seemingly as much as I can measure it. It's good. There's a few, and I should only expect that. There's a few people who are committed to the incumbent, and others who are committed to my other opponent. But I don't feel like I'm lacking. I don't feel that the campaign is lacking. We're doing all we can. My family and I, we're doing a lot, and so with what we have and the people that we have, and so I feel like that if we do that and just be consistent with that at the end of it, we'll turn out okay. Okay. That's great. And we know that, look, like I said, the incumbent right now that's been in office, he has a lot of power, a lot of pull. He's been there for a while. So you are facing a very tough fight, but I think you can do it. I think you can pull this off because people don't understand, that that casino issue really divided a lot of the Republicans. And I think this is a golden opportunity for someone such as yourself, as the Constitution Party, to get your feet planted in there and bring a different type of voice or a platform to the table, which is needed. It really is needed. But people are so afraid of change, though. They're scared of change. You know, they're afraid to walk. You know, try something new, or not go with the status quo all the time. And you know, Rockingham County is pretty much setting its roots. It's a well-established community. A lot of old timers still in the community. It wasn't that long ago. This was all farmland. You know, Highway 158 was all farms. You remember back 25 years ago. You know, so, and it's developed. I mean, the traffic is getting you know, heavy traffic now on Highway. I say 158 because I just sold a property over there on 158 where I lived, where we bought it in 1987. And and when we bought it in 1987, it was just nothing but farms. There were cows running across Highway 158.
Sure.
You know, so it's changed. It's changed.
Yeah.
And you know, Guilford County, Greensboro, it's always been that big city, but it's also changed for the worst. I mean, and we get a lot of that rollover from Greensboro into Reedsville and Summerfield and Stokesdale and Madison and Mayodan and whatnot. So what's your viewpoint right now as far as the crime problem? Because everyone's talking about crime right now, and that's on the top of their mind. They got this perception that crime is out of control when actually the numbers are actually down a little bit. But what's your take on that?
Sure. Well, again, we are in a declining society, and the state of North Carolina is a part of that society. Rockingham and Guilford County are a part of that society, and we're in decline. Why are we in decline? We are in decline because we have, by and large, forgotten God. Everything that we talk about how things used to be and how good things used to be, and, you know, every generation probably talks about that, you know, but each generation needs to look at what has the generation done to maintain, again, the things that are involved with truth,
the moral fabric
under God,
the moral fabric and backbone,
And so when we look at that and we see, and if we see that we've gotten away from living life the way God has intended for us to, then it is the direct contributor to that decline, which results in high crime rates or higher crime rates or whatever the case may be. Now, I guess you say on a practical right here now level, you know, I think that let me say this first. I think that with regards to all of that, that I've already said, we as men, especially we as men, and remember there's only two genders, male and female. Man and woman.
No matter how you want to disagree with that, though.
Exactly. We as men need to stand up in society and be men. And I don't only mean masculinity, but I mean that we need to be the leaders in the community, in our homes, in our churches, that God intended for us to be. When we do that, when men are strong in a society, we direct, by modeling an example, we direct what a society does. Men need to fear no one but God, and men need to fear only God. And when we do that, we're modeling something. So these young boys who become gangbangers and all this, so that they won't turn to that. They have a role model to look to. A lot of times what they're trying to do when they turn to gangs and all, it's rooted in who they are. As men, we have testosterone. And what testosterone does, it makes you aggressive. You wanna be aggressive with something, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. That's the way God made it. He gave us that so that we are the protectors of our homes and our families and our wives. He gave us that so that if we have to defend our country, we can do so, you know, adequately. Well, you know, if we're not taught that, and if that's not modeled before us, because instead of being at home taking care of my family and teaching my children and my boys especially how to be men, I'm out partying or you know, I care more about making money than I do leading my family. Whatever the situation is, then they're left on their own to figure it out. and usually that doesn't turn out well. They turn to things that are good. That are evil and not good, and they end up acting out in ways that we see often crime or drug use or dope dealing or whatever the case may be. And a lot of times there's a lack of direction because men of the generations before have failed to honor God and then be in a proper place to lead their families. And so going back to the question you're asking about crime, that's the way that I look at crime. Crime is not totally up to the police for law enforcement to deal with. I'm a dad. There are crimes that are committed in my home by my children, and God has given me a way to deal with that and to handle that, so that they're not so much that they don't go out here and commit a statutory offense and be in trouble with the law and then contribute to high crime rates and things like that. And so I hope you hear and understand the heart of what I'm saying. It starts at home, and then where there is no dad, we as men need to be a model in our communities to that neighbor's children where the dad is not present for whatever reason, death or whatever, incarceration, whatever the case may be, and we need to be that model and example with God in mind, sharing the gospel with these young ones, and because that's the only hope. Outside of that, you as a young man especially, you wonder, what's my reason for living? Why do what is right when it's easy to do what's wrong? Well, it's what Christ has said and what Christ has gone before us and what he's done.
Amen to that. Amen to that. I got a question from somebody in my chat room here. They want to know if you support the idea of these 15-minute cities.
15-minute cities?
Yes, there's an idea going around. I know very little about it. I've read some articles about it, but they've got this 15-minute city. Maybe that caller can call in and maybe explain the question a little bit better. But they just put a quick chat. You want to know what your position was on that. Obviously, you're not too familiar with. I'm sure if they explained it the way they're trying to format, you'd be able to answer the question a lot better. For someone like my mom, for example, she's lived here in Rockingham County. She was a transplant. She came down from up north, from the state of Connecticut back in the mid-1980s, and she has seen things change she was a nurse. She's retired now, and she's a part-time school teacher in the charter school there on 150 at the new school. And she has seen the students and the children and just the way the attitude is towards, how the youth directs their attitude towards. There's no respect, I guess you could say. There's no like we had. You didn't talk back to the sheriff back in those days. You didn't, because you knew what was good for you.
Right.
I mean, but we've lost that. We've lost that level of transparent. I guess I could say it's fear. But fear in the right way. Like, you're not supposed to do that. It's just wrong, and we don't have that anymore. How do we restore that? How do we bring that back to where, hey, you don't hit a cop. You certainly don't shoot a cop. You don't bring a gun to school, So how do we bring that back, that way of thinking?
Yeah, well, again, and I think I've said it on other matters, but it starts at home. There's disrespect in the home well before there's disrespect out on the streets, whether that be towards another elderly person from a young person, or whether it be towards the cops. And what I found a lot. I think I said earlier, I do have law enforcement experience. What I would find a lot happening is that some adults themselves did not, again, have respect for law enforcement, and so of course their children were going to pick that up. Now, what we have to understand is that the Bible says, and I'm paraphrasing, but it indicates that for the person who does good. First of all, it says that government is established by God, but for the person that does good, that they have no reason to fear the government. but the person who does evil certainly may do, because government, specifically here, law enforcement, is established by God. Like, what good is a law if there's no enforcement behind it? You know, and what it ultimately points to, what law and order ultimately points to, again, is Almighty God. He has a certain order and an intended way that he has a way that he's intended for us to live. And when that's violated, you know, civil government, civil law enforcement is one of his tools he uses to point to the fact that you will not only be punished in this life for evil, but ultimately, if you don't come to him in righteousness through Christ, you will be punished eternally. And so, again, I mentioned earlier crimes committed in my home, and I don't mean anything statutorily, but I mean, you know, if one of my children when they were younger, if they lied or if they hit one another or something like that, you know, God has given me, he set an order and has given me the authority as their father to exercise corporal punishment. And that corporal punishment points to, hey, boy, hey, girl, if you don't get it right, you're going to really be in trouble. And truthfully, most law enforcement officers will appreciate that mom or dad who do not spare the rod, because they know that if it's done right at home, they're not going to have to deal with that kid out there on the streets. You know, they're not going to have to arrest them for illegal activity, because they've been dealt right at home. And so again, you know, it all goes back to God and the home.
That's right. Amen to that. One other issue here, because as we're talking, I'm reading questions that are being presented to me in the chat room, and you know, and so I got to decipher, you know, which ones are, you know, worthy, and so so if I seem a little distracted, believe me, it's not you. I'm doing a million things at once.
I understand.
As far as the Second Amendment does go, Second Amendment. I got a North Carolina gentleman listening too. Good. I'm glad you were able to, Jamal. I'm glad you were able to tune in here tonight. Thank you. Well, as far as the Second Amendment goes, do you see anything going on through the Senate or the House in the next coming year or so that's going to bring any measures that are going to put more restrictions on our Second Amendment? Do you see anything proposed, any type of legislation that you're worried about, or that maybe we should be keeping an eye on as citizens?
Well, I'll speak specifically to Rockingham County citizens, because you do have you know, a choice in about a month here to make. But I know that if you elect, and I know the people we're listening that are listening right now, by and large, your followers are probably not in this camp. But Rockingham County, if they end up electing, I'll go ahead and say it, Steve Luking, then you very well may begin to see some legislation pushed that that will, you know, that if passed, will restrict your ability to do things like buy guns and how many you can own, and maybe even what type you can own. And I say I was in a forum yesterday where he was, and he mentioned, I was asked the question, I answered the question, and when he answered the question, he sort of threw it back on me, basically saying, I know that Mr. Robinson did not address this, but he felt like, and I'm not verbatim quoting him, but he basically felt like that we needed to have more controls on guns and things like that. Again, I'm not saying that a person that is has known mental illness or something should be in possession of a firearm. But if that has not been identified, that person has a right to possess it, you know. And again, some of the things I address is that you know, it's not the gun itself. A firearm is nothing more than a tool. You know, it's the person behind it and their mentality that determines how that thing is used, and if it's used in a justifiable way. You know, it's nothing. It's not any different than than a hammer and a set of nails. You know, that if I'm
a chainsaw,
a chainsaw, I can use it in a harmful, unjustified means, and so that mentality that a gun is bad, it's like how do you ever come up with that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, the guns aren't bad, people are bad. You know,
sure.
I mean that's just when they make wrong decisions. You know, it's not the gun.
Right.
I've never seen a gun
sure.
jump off a kitchen table, land in someone's hand and start shooting people. You know,
that's right. That's right.
So it's about the decision making and process. You know, self-governing, very, very important. We've walked away from that so much over the last 25 years, more than I think any other time in history. The last 25 years have really taken a pounding our ability to self-govern, and this is dangerous. This is very dangerous because once we lose these rights and these freedoms, they're almost impossible to get back. And people don't understand this. You know, that's why the legislative process and legislative governance that we go through, these branches of government in our republic, are so very important. You know, the due process, the standards in which our government is operating and governing by, the principles in which we mandate things and we propose things. And people just don't understand that, I think. We've lost our way. I don't think people really understand government anymore. I think they're too wrapped up in individual personalities and entertainment. You know, I really don't think that. I really think we've become so lost now, and it's so dangerous. It's the slippery slope where tyranny is right outside our front door, getting ready to come into our home. And once it's in, it's hard to get it out.
Yeah, it is.
And that's very difficult. And we have to be so careful. And folks, 657-383-0616. If you have a question for the candidate here tonight, I will be more than happy to allow you on to ask a quick question. No comments, no speeches, just questions, please. I know usually I freewheel and allow people to, speak openly and freely, but I kind of want to stay on point, stay on topic here as much as we possibly can, okay? So, Mr. Robinson, I got someone here who got their hand up here. I think I know who this person is, so I'm going to take a live caller real quick if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay, and go ahead, 407. Go ahead, you're on.
Yeah, this is American Statesman. I was asking about the 15-minute cities. It's the same idea as the smart cities. You know, they want everybody to live together, cram together, no cars, et cetera, controlling people's movement.
Okay. Can you, and this is proposed in North Carolina right now, Sally, or is this something that's in another state right now?
It's across the country, so it's everywhere. It's kind of like the Agenda 21 stuff and Agenda 2030, the insanity of the United Nations and the One World Order crapola.
Oh, okay. I got you. Mr. Robinson, you want to address that?
Yeah, I think I do know what you're referring to in maybe other language, such as what you just said there, New World Order and all that. My children and I were listening to, I think it was Adventures in Odyssey or something like that they listened to a lot. We were listening to that a few nights ago, and the story that was being shared, this is or it's not a real life story, but it's with real life type happenings. And anyways, they were talking about that very thing, and how I can't remember who said it or when it was said, but how it was said that you'll have nothing and something else, and you'll love it until you're in it and you don't love it, And so I'm totally not. I mean, I'm running for a reason. I see that stuff coming, okay? And really, it's already here. Like I told you, I lost my job not because I did anything wrong, but because city government and a county agency, governmental agency, wanted to stiff arm and really wanted to make an example out of me, basically to say that if you don't listen to us, if you don't do it our way, if you don't do it the government's way, then you're going to lose everything you have. They dangle your job out in front of you like a carrot, and as long as you're, doing what they want you to do, you can keep it. But the moment you begin to stand up for your liberties, you lose it. And so again, the things that we're experiencing today and that many have experienced for several years before now, it's going in that direction, and thank God He's allowing us to see it. But He doesn't only allow us to see it just to see it. He allows us to see it so that we'll do something about it. And so, ma'am, I am not for that type of thing at all. I'm an individual, and I believe in my individual freedoms, and I don't see freedom in that type of living whatsoever. We've got to get away from supporting the big corporations in our grocery shopping, all these things, and we've got to be more independent and spend within our immediate community and look out for one another in those type ways. Outside of that, they have a monopoly on it, and then all of a sudden they stop it and and we're at their mercy. And I'm not for that type of thing.
Right.
Oh, that's good to hear. And it was just recently signed, like in September, the pact, the UN pact, the pact for the future. And this is where our government has surrendered many of our rights to the United Nations. And when they try to do it, what are you going to do to protect people of North Carolina and tell them do not comply?
Yeah, and I'll certainly do just that. Tell them not to comply, and I won't be voting. I won't be voting for any legislation. Not in the affirmative. I'll vote against any legislation that would put us in a situation where we succumb to that. I think that even now, North Carolina needs to stop doing things like taking money from the federal government for our school system. The reason why the school system is a huge reason why it's in the situation it is, where children have been sexualized and all these type of things, is because of the agenda of the federal government. And it's like you have to teach what they want you to teach in order to receive their money. And not only that, but the CRT stuff that really became big a few years ago, that's Marxism, and so we need to stop taking money from the federal government. It's my responsibility to educate my children, and yours to educate yours, not the government. And so we've got to resist, in those ways. I'm not necessarily talking about an immediate violent resistance, but there's other ways to resist. They need us. We don't need them. It was established because of the people, not the other way around.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Anything else,
Did you want me to ask?
Anything else? I got a couple minutes here. Sure.
Yeah. Okay, well, it's kind of funny because I had put the one question out there, but what is this pushing on the public schools and the Federal Department of Education? The states state sovereignty, the 10th Amendment, start taking back the rights of the states and stop being dictated to. And the book, or what he's referencing to, was the book is actually called You Will Own Nothing and Be Happy. That is what the World Economic Forum and the UN are all preaching to us as they take over everything that we have, which is exactly what's happening right now. So we've really got the states got to take back their sovereignty from the federal government too. It's a mess. The other thing I was talking about in general was about growth and transportation. They all go hand in hand. A while back, I was working with some people in North Carolina trying to fight the toll roads. The tolls are one of the most regressive taxes there are, and it hurts everybody in the economy. And that's something I don't know if he's ever had any position on or would try to do something to stop. We got to stop ripping off people and et cetera, et cetera. I mean, there's just so many things.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Absolutely, I agree with you on that. I hate those tolls, and I think, I'm probably like you, didn't grow up having that around North Carolina. That was something you saw when you went into up north and things like that, and I missed, this is probably 3 years ago maybe, I missed one coming down through Raleigh or somewhere. I didn't know. A few weeks later, I got a ticket. I'm like, what is this? But no, I'm not for that.
I got a couple of those throughout the day too, throughout the years. So but it's not like it's a killer though. It's not yet expensive to where they wipe all these fees. They keep getting larger and larger.
And see, I'm from Orlando. There were more miles of toll roads in the state of Florida than any place else in this country, and most of them were in Central Florida and Orlando. And people literally were paying close to $1,000 a month. Small businesses paying $2,000 a month in toll taxes. If like a landscaper or a plumber or whatever, when they get a drive across town, it really does. It hurts the local economy much more than people want to say. And I hear the stupid comments from those in office trying to say, well, we're going to create jobs. They create jobs to have people take your money. Isn't that stupid? It's the most expensive way to raise revenue for the transportation, and it hurts everybody. It takes money out of the local economy. It's a really dumb thing. It's all because of garbage with people giving deals to their friends and everything else, and nothing to do with taking care of the people.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Sally, I got another caller here in the line here, waiting on the line here, so I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I'll just have you on the side here, okay? I believe this could be my friend here. He's a retired Illinois state trooper, actually, and United States Army veteran. So let me see. I think this is him. So let me unmute him here. Go ahead, sir. I think this is Sarge. Is that you?
Let me check. Yeah, absolutely is. How you doing, Joe? What's going on?
All right, thanks.
Yeah, it sounds like your gentleman, the gentleman, Mr. Robinson's a candidate after my own heart. And I do have a question for him that I'd like to frame by making a very brief comment to frame the question. And
go ahead.
Mr. Robinson was speaking earlier about criminal activity with guns, which is often termed by the specious term gun violence. Now, to put it in perspective, when our troops were engaged in battle in Europe and the Pacific in World War II, and their enemies were engaged in battle against them, they didn't call all of that violence with all those guns gun violence. They called it engaging in warfare. Similarly, when criminals use guns to engage in criminal activity, and when citizens use firearms, either by showing them to deter the offender or shooting, wounding, and or killing them, that is criminals defending themselves against criminal activity by criminals using guns. Now, my question to you is, oftentimes these public issues are framed and become rooted in the public mind by the use of specious and false premises. My question to you is, what will you do to help wean the public from this sort of propagandizing, which is very low-level background propaganda that's very effective, whenever you are confronted in a public issue with these false premises, like abortion is being misogynistic belief against women or some nonsense like that.
Mm-hmm.
How will you help to beat those sort of things back?
Sure, yeah. So I hope that this conversation tonight, that at least some of how I would help has demonstrated that. I think you with false arguments, if you're going to argue against, I guess, a false argument, you have to have a standard by which a standard is for the person who believes opposite of me. It's for me and that person, because it is the standard. And so you have to start with the standard. And I've put it forth tonight a couple of times, but the truth of who God is and His Word and things like that, you have to. I've gone to a couple forums over the last couple of weeks. I don't like it. Why? Because I'm not able to do what I'm doing tonight, and that's reason, or at least to be able to really explain a position on something and things like that. You get like 2 minutes to say everything you ever knew, and it's just not possible. All you really have is people who are very rehearsed and things like that saying stuff that there's no way they really can do, And so, and I hope I'm answering your question now. I'm pushing for time myself on something, but I do want to adequately answer your question. I believe in listening, 100%. I believe in listening to understand the person. But then I believe when I do open my mouth to speak, that it needs to be on the basis of a standard. If you've noticed tonight, I haven't gotten too far away from the truth of who God is and what God has said about a thing. Let's just use that example you talked about, abortion. People they love to throw up, well, what about in the case of incest or rape? Well, those are bad things, and I 100% understand why a person might want to throw that up, especially if they've experienced that or they know someone close to them who has experienced that. However, the standard is what God has said. And God knew when he gave the commandment, thou shalt not murder, that there would be some people conceived from an incest situation or rape or whatever, and nonetheless he still said it because he is sovereign over all circumstances. I was not born under the ideal circumstances, and many people that are probably listening to this podcast may not have been. But you're so thankful that you're alive today. You're so thankful for your experiences in life, both the negative experiences as well as the positive experiences. And so, I don't know that I'm answering your question. I hope that you're able to get insight though on where I'm coming from with regards to that. You have to. The Bible says not to answer a fool according to his folly. So you can't agree with the fool. You can't agree with ignorance. God's word is true, is right, and I have to answer these things based upon it. I will admit I don't know it all, but God knows it all, and so what he says is the direction I have to go in.
Well, I think you answered my question, sir. Objective truth as opposed to sophistry, and I think you're correct.
Right. Yes, sir.
Awesome. You said you're pressed for time. How much time do I have with you? This is where I know and I don't put you in an awkward situation here.
Yeah,
How about
so I texted that, and the only reason why I have another one of these to do with another producer.
I understand.
So I appreciate you all doing this kind of thing. He pushed it out for, looking here, just another 4 minutes.
4 minutes. Okay, well then let's do it like this then. Closing thoughts, if in case I don't get a chance to talk to you again, go ahead. You got the floor. Just go ahead and talk. Give me your closing thoughts of who you are. Again, wrap it up for me with you tonight. How's that?
Should have that. Yes, sir. I appreciate that. So, again, my name is Alvin Robinson. I am running for State Senate District 26, all of Rockingham County and about a third of Guilford County, looking to represent you based upon truth and righteousness. When I say that, I mean that which is consistent with what God, our Creator, has said with regards to how we are to live life with one another. That's how I represent you in the state legislature. You can call me. You can email me. That information can be found at my website, which is Alvin Robinson, 4, ncsenate.com. Again, Alvin Robinson, 4, ncsenate.com. You can contact me there, and we can share more of the dialogue, such as what we have tonight. I don't mind doing that. But anyways, any issue that we can bring up, whether it be abortion, whether it be education, economic development, whatever it is, all of those things, when I represent you in the state Senate, I will address those things and develop law or support law based upon what God's word, what the truth of God's word says about all those matters. And so I'll leave it at that. Again, Alvin Robinson, 4, ncsenate.com.
That's great. Mr. Robinson, I know you got to go. Hopefully, maybe we can get you one more time before the election. I'd like to get you as much publicity as possible, and then, at least maybe another hour or something if you've got the time. I know you're very busy, but I thank you so much for coming on tonight and spending your very valuable time with us. And, again, hopefully we could do this again. And God bless you, sir. You got my support. You got my vote, and I certainly will support you.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that. Thanks again for having me on. And sure, I'll be glad to come on again whenever time allows.
Amen. God bless you, sir, and God bless your family. Be safe out there, and good luck.
Yes, sir. God bless all. Thank you.
All right. All right, folks. There you have it right there. Alvin Robinson right there. Very busy. It was kind of my fault, though, with the technical issues here on Blog Talk Radio there in the beginning. Wasted about 10 minutes, but that's live internet radio. I think the gentleman did very well, very honest, very outspoken, directly. I like that. That's what I like. I like people who are direct and just tell it like it is, even if it doesn't sound right to some and others. But we that stand for the truth, that stand for this republic, definitely know where he is coming from and what type of platform he goes. Sarge, what's your thoughts real quick?
Hey, I like the man. The man is, unfortunately, you know how things are in this two-party system. He's running as an outsider third-party candidate, and he's got the name Constitution Party. and people on both sides of both parties are opposed to much of the Constitution. So and their constituents, they indoctrinate to believe that people who are constitutionalists are some sort of weird fanatics or something, like some sort of cultist. So that's kind of that can be a handicap, unless, of course, you absolutely understand why the Constitution is so important to our liberties. And a candidate who espouses the principles of the Constitution will more likely than not govern in the best popular way if they are faithful to those ideas. So we got a little work to do to maybe convince people that maybe they ought to look past the Republican and the Democrat in this race and maybe consider a man like Mr. Robinson for a real change.
Yeah. And I wanted to try to stress that. I wasn't sure when I forgot to, because like I said, we're so busy and I was programming the show, and I thought about it. I said, wait a second, he's not a Republican, and he's not a Democrat. I know that, and a Constitution Party, and I was like, whoa. So that's great. I scored there because that's what we were talking about. Remember, we were talking about that a couple of weeks ago, about getting another voice out here, another voice on the platform, and that's so very important, man.
I like that, especially when they speak well. Especially when they speak well about, and they sound earnest in what they're saying. That's a double plus. So
yeah, most definitely. He's a nice guy. Go to his website. He's got a picture there of his family and everything. So he's a nice guy. He's a good guy. I could tell right off the bat. I don't know him personally. I've never really met him, but other than phone conversation and messaging on social media, but I could tell off the bat, what type of person he is. He's saying he's that type of person that I would love working with, especially if I was elected, as state representative. So, that would be great to have somebody in office, working side by side with somebody like that. 'Cause that's what we need, to break down the gridlock and the confusion and the lies and the nonsense. And that's what the people of this county really need. Really seriously.
Wouldn't it be great to have an official?
We're so broken right now.
Yeah, wouldn't it be great to have an official like that? Maybe convince some state Secretary of State or governor to maybe look at the credentials of somebody like a Kamala Harris. Maybe say, hey, maybe we ought to put them on the ballot because they don't meet the federal constitutional requirement to be on the ballot.
Yeah, well, I know in the chat room there we didn't get to all, some of the questions we would have liked to have gotten to, time permitting. I mean, time flies by. That was an hour.
Well, you know what though? I wouldn't want to jeopardize his chances, so I wouldn't even ask him that question because I wouldn't want to jeopardize his chances. But I'm just saying that since he's not required, since he's left, and he's not required to answer the question, I'm just speculating how wonderful it would be to have some state official, like a legislative official, who would importune a Secretary of State or an election official not to put an ineligible candidate like Kamala Harris on the ballot to spur a challenge in court. Because it's clear to anybody who understands the Constitution that more likely than not, she is not eligible to be president of the United States and not belong on a state ballot.
That's something I'd have to bring up with my controversy behind me. They would expect it from somebody like me.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. But like I said, I wouldn't even ask him that question because that's sure to get him called some kind of weirdo kook who probably molests children or something.
Yeah.
Well,
he's got courage, Sarge. I mean, look at, he's from my county. You know what they did to me in the media. They made me sound like the biggest monster from Godzilla to King Kong, I mean,
Now, is this gentleman a black man, by any chance?
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Okay, now here you are. You got a black man on the show, in the sense advocating for his office, for his candidacy, and his election, and I guess that makes you a Nazi. Help me reason that out. Help me reason through that one, Joe. Help me reason through that. Okay? And you also support Mark Robinson, too, who's also a black Nazi. Maybe it's more because he's a black Nazi. Right? Is that it?
That Sarge, that goes to show you the bizarre thinking that we have today out there in society and in the political realm.
It's something, man. I don't know what to say.
Even the radicals don't seem radical anymore,
No, everything that's up to me. Al Gore said it best. The only thing he ever said I think that was right. everything that should be up is down, and everything that's down should be up. That's the only thing he ever said that was right, man. And that fits these times exactly.
Oh, man, you got that right, man. You definitely got that right. But I'll tell you, but that hour went by so fast. I mean, I'm sitting here looking at my clock, and I said, whoa, it's already 5 after 9. I'm like, man, oh, man. So it just goes to show you. And he brought up an interesting point, these debates that they have with these, with them. They don't get to answer the questions like they really would like to because they're on a time limit. They got to be very careful because they got all the cameras analyzing them, and that's why I always wondered how I would do in a camera debate, where, obviously I've spoken many, many times in open courtrooms and whatnot, and it doesn't, I'm not scared or, or whatnot, but at the same time, he makes a very interesting point. You have to be careful because they use everything against you. A shingle could be coming down off the side of the house and, they'll use it against you.
You know what I like, though, about many of the things he said? I'm really looking forward to listening to someone who speaks like the founders did and the framers of the Constitution, who are referencing their religion and God. Constantly. Yeah. You look at the principal, most foremost people who were responsible for founding the country and creating it, including creating the First Amendment of the absolutist freedom with selecting your religion. Yep. I mean, it's unqualified. There's no qualifications on it. And these people, despite that, being very religious themselves in their own personal faith, were constantly importuning God for guidance and help. Constantly. Yeah, it is refreshing to hear a modern politician echoing those sentiments because, as been said by King George, he said that this country is being founded by the revolution that this country is fomenting is a Presbyterian revolution because he identified the center of gravity of the revolution very accurately. And the fact that we have strayed so far from that concept of religion being the basis of United States liberty is one of the reasons, I believe, as to why we're in jeopardy of losing it.
Could have said it better myself. That is so true. But what do we do, Sarge? What's the answer? I was trying to dig a little bit at him about answers. I know he had courage and he wasn't afraid to, tell us about the answers that he thinks are going to work, to fix this mess that we're in, But what are the answers, man, and your thoughts? I mean, what do you think? As far as
when he answered my question.
Sarge, I know you couldn't answer that. So I'm just saying, as far as the border goes, and the
when he answered my question, I kind of summed it up for him. I said, look, the question is that objective truth trumps sophistry, and that's what it is. That's what his answer was. You got to tell the truth. You got to tell the truth, brother. No matter what. We've got to say things that are uncomfortable for people to hear because people don't want to hear why there's so much crime in the big cities. They don't want to hear it because it doesn't support with this idealized version of the way they think things ought to be, and why the answer to the question will bring us back to uncomfortable aspects of our history. So rather than precisely identify the center of the problem, they prefer to dance around it and pretend like it's really a factor, combined factors of other things.
Bingo. Yep. Yeah. Good point.
And that's what he said. He just said it. The answer is transcendent objective truth. That is more important than determining problems and how to get to them. Now, you got to be diplomatic at all times, particularly when you're a politician. So I'm not saying you shouldn't be diplomatic.
Yeah.
Please do. You have to be brutal, but you got to tell the truth. J.D. Vance did a fairly good job of that the other night. Not completely, but fairly much. Fairly much. That's the way you do it. You can do it diplomatically. You can do it civilly. You can even do it in a gentlemanly fashion, but you've got to do it. And if you want to know, you want to ask me, what can politicians do? Because it's going to take more than just politicians. This is a problem that's been in place and been generated over 100 years, I believe, going back to the progressive era, and it really got in the high gear 50 or 60 years ago. So it's going to take a lot more than just politicians. But if you want to know what politicians can do, that's what they can do. They can be precise about the center of gravity of problems. at least among the major of them, that are uncomfortable for people to hear. I mean, like, you know, like we're saying, every single successful abortion ends a human life. There's no getting around it. That's just the one thing they never want to hear. Every single successful abortion ends a human life. You start there, and then you try to see how they try to argue against it.
Yeah. I mean, in this rape and incest nonsense, you know, how many cases are really like that? You know, not many.
1 or 2%, maybe 3% of all abortions. What about the other 97% then? They'll never answer that. They'll keep going back to the one thing most people are willing to compromise on, rape and incest. Okay? Even I'm somewhat swayed by that argument, but in the end, I got to come back to, what did the baby do to deserve execution? Why don't you want to execute the rapist? Why don't you want to execute them? Why do you want to execute the baby? What did the baby do? Except get conceived. So, I mean, even in that argument being persuasive, ultimately I have to come down to the bottom line. What did the baby do to get executed? Nothing. So there's no reason to execute the baby other than the life or health of the mother. I agree on that one, and that one's even rarer than rape and incest. The physical health or life of the mother is even rarer than rape or incest. The overwhelming majority of pregnancies, if allowed to go through, would result in either a basic miscarriage or, more likely than not, a successful birth.
Yeah. I don't know, Sarge. I don't know. I think there's so many problems that we got going on in America. I don't know if we can, even time we solve one, you know, the ones that we thought were being solved prior to the one we solved one. Or, I don't know, man. You know, sometimes you get this. Sometimes you get your mind filled up with so many darn problems that you just don't know. Like today, it was so stressful for me. I'm watching them tear down my woods. You know, and I just told you guys a story about how I went back there and was hiking a few months ago.
Yeah,
you know,
but Joe,
you know,
when in human history we have not been beset and saddled with problems? What era in human history has that not been true?
No, I know.
It never will be. Never will be one.
Yeah. Well, these
I'll tell you what's kind of different today, though. I think the biggest change between all the other problems we faced in history with evil people and evil things. Here's what I think is the biggest difference today, and that is a rejection of reason. Reason seems to be losing. I mean, you used to have superstition once upon a time, but everybody kind of understood superstition was simply a lack of knowledge. There's far less reason to have this kind of lack of reason today with all the knowledge we have about the way things work and the ability to use the scientific method and linear reasoning.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Well, I could agree with you more on that, you know. But it's, again, you know, I said,
what is a man? What is a woman? A man could be a woman by simply declaring himself to be so.
Oh, I know.
That is a lack of reason, heretofore never widely expressed in human society in all of the millennia of human society ever. Not even the Indians with their three spirit thing. Not even the Indians with their three spirit thing came across anything that nutty.
I know.
But here we are. Here we are. What are you? You still got a bigot? You're transphobic? Oh, please, spare me.
Yeah. I know. I wonder what they must have thought when the baby was born.
I don't know. You tell me, because I'm through. I'm through. You know, when I started hearing expressions of mental illness expressed as something to be desired for, something to be attained, something to be valued, something to be extolled, I'm sorry. At that point, I'm drawing the line.
Yeah. Well, you know, check this out real quick. He kind of threw me for a loop there when he said he got fired as a deputy for the jab shot, and then it made sense. I was like, that's why he was starting to watch me. You know, I mean, I never.
Well, that's kind of that shows he's an independent thinker. I mean, think of the enormous pressure put on people to conform with that pandemic scare. And I think how enormous the pressure was, and mainly Well, and mainly in areas, and I got to keep saying it because this is one thing that's consistent with these damn Democrats. Mainly with these Democrats doing this, more so than the other party doing it. They were the ones who insisted on mandating it and lengthy shutdowns. Look, the first two governors to open up their states were DeSantis in Florida and Kemp in Georgia. Now that tells you something. And you look at the pattern of opening of states all across the country. The states that opened up first were largely Republican-led states by Republican governors. And everywhere the Democrats were, they wanted the shots and the mandates and the extensive, lengthy shutdowns, and you couldn't go to church, and you couldn't socialize, and you couldn't attend weddings, and you couldn't go to funerals, and you couldn't visit your relatives in the hospice as they were dying. And it was mostly Democrats.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, yeah. I don't know these Democrats. They just, they're
lunatics sometimes.
Skyline, and I was watching.
Oh man, they're always trying to take away something from you, or ban this and ban that, and mandate this.
Let me ask you this.
Good God.
Let me ask you this question then. The Democrats obviously have a problem with. Well, we know what they have. We can't list all the problems they have with, but as far as this problem goes, it stretches down from, I guess you could say, how should I put this? I don't want to miss any areas, but I say in zero tight hat. That's what you say when the clock starts ticking, right? I was watching this commercial. I know you're probably saying, "What the hell are you doing?" But I was watching this commercial, right? With these Democrats, they got Hillary Clinton, right? And then they got Bill Clinton. And remember the guy that was that did the campaigning for the Clintons? What the heck was his name? Carville, was it?
Carville, James Carville.
Yeah.
The raging Cajun.
Yeah. And he said it was the economy, stupid. Remember how that was a big thing? Remember, it was the economy, stupid. Remember?
Sure.
And anyway, they got the Gong Show. And they got Chelsea ringing the bell. Bong, bong. I mean, you just got to see it. It had me cracking up. It was just so funny how they did the skit.
Man.
It was just hilarious. But all fun and games, you get these comedy skits or whatever, and they do it with Trump too. I laugh at them. I got one with the Dukes of Hazzard with Trump, driving the car and everything, and they come up with some funny stuff. But that stuff we can live with. We've always had that. Throughout the years. Where they don't play dirty or they knock down low.
Political cartoons have always been a staple of American political life. Always.
Yeah.
And they mock and they satirize. And look, let's face it. With two candidates like Trump and Harris, both of whom are outsized with regard to their personality quirks, you've got a gold mine of memes there. But on one hand, now with Trump memes, most of them are the kind of memes that actually, even though you make fun of them and there's an element of ridicule and satirization, the Trump memes tend to be more positive than the Kamala Harris memes.
Yeah, true.
Because Trump got this big outsized ego, and he makes these hyperbolic statements, and sometimes he does things that you say, "So what the hell made him say that?" and all that. But most people look at that and say, "Well, that's bold assertiveness." They look at Kamala Harris and say she's a nincompoop. The kind of things you make fun of her for. She's an absolute nincompoop. That's an oversimplification. Yeah. But you know what? The oversimplifications come from the general truths of the personality quirks and the characteristics of the person.
Yeah. What's going on with the professional dashboard of what's his face there? I always get lost there, man. You get lost when you catch the names. I'm bad here tonight because I got so much going on.
Britain?
Britain? No.
This guy was stealing women's luggage?
No. He was locked up over there for a long time. Julian Assange, is that it? Is that the guy? I could be off. I don't. My mind's so blank. You know who I'm talking about? You don't know who I'm talking about?
Yeah. Hold on. My Bluetooth.
Yeah, my mind just went blank too. Any callers? 657-383-061. Excuse me.
Wait, were you talking about Samuel Britton?
No. Julian Assange. I think that's his name.
Oh, you mean the guy? WikiLeaks guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But last time I heard, he was still. Oh man.
No, they let him go. I thought.
I think they did. I think they did dismiss him in the charges against him. He was extradited.
So they dismissed all his charges. No, we would have heard about that. You would have been stomping your feet up and down. Come on.
Well, I'm not up on the latest thing that's happened with him, so I'm not exactly sure. It's been a couple of months.
Yeah, but remember he was coming out of
him
or whatever. Yeah, they had me. He was stuck to sheath or whatever.
Yeah.
Man, what the heck was his name? His real name, his full name? I don't know. I thought they came for a fake name for him or something, and you guys started using it, and ever since then we've been using it.
No, the only name I've ever known Julian Assange to use was Julian Assange.
Excuse me.
You've never used any other name.
What's that, Sarge?
The only name is
Julian Assange.
No.
I want to know what became of him. What became of his charges and everything. What became, what was the deal? What was the outcome? That's what I was trying to figure out. Yeah, I can't figure out nothing. Where what became. Anybody want to call in? You can do it now. Everybody, press 1 if you got to make a comment on tonight's show. I'd appreciate it. Tell me your thoughts, your opinions. I know Sally had a couple of tough questions that she wanted to get to. I apologize, Sally. You're always welcome to call in. I trust you. But it's time permitting, and Blog Talk Radio is scrolling up like it usually does for me. And you guys saw what I wrote today to them, and I don't have a problem telling them how to get there, where to get there, and how to go, and the fastest way to get there. Because I believe that they're doing this stuff on purpose, maybe. So let's see here. Who else do we got here? No, you. I know what your number you are. You're not coming on. You might as well just go ahead and hang up. Nobody else, huh? We got some fresh mulch. We could probably spread this out, you and me, Sarge, probably about 20 minutes, man. Everything.
I tell you, man, it's a world of SH&IT to talk about and to shovel out. I mean, look, man. I mean, have you ever seen a situation in American history that's got so much crap going on at one time?
I know it, man. I know it. Trust me, I know. But it's getting to the point of just, I don't know. Getting to the point, Sarge, even when you and I are talking out here, when we're arguing back and forth, I just don't think there's any type of resolution or anyone's learning from anything anymore. We just keep repeating ourselves over and over and over and over and over and over, and we're not getting anywhere. Sometimes I feel like it's a losing battle. But then we get somebody like Mr. Robinson on, and it gives you a little bit of hope, maybe, a little bit of hope that there are people out there like us that are trying to fix this country, that are putting up the fight, and making the sacrifice, and that's what's important, and that gives us the hope, I guess. So, again, let me check the chat room, see if anybody's got anything. If not, I'm going to play something here at the end. We still got about 25 minutes left, so what the hell, might as well use it. I did not hear anything on election integrity and illegals. I will call in. Okay, well, you can call in now if you want, Sally. Discuss that. Yeah, I want to hear your thoughts on Mr. Robinson if you want. What's this? He pleaded guilty. Let's see. I can't see it. Well, up close, I got bad eyes up close. She asked a question. Sally asked a question. He pled guilty to one criminal charge under the deal of the fighting, the extradition. I don't know what Sally's talking about. She could be talking about somebody in the chat room, not me. So that's probably what's going on. Where's Beyonce tonight? Where's he at? I thought for sure he was going to join us. Man, oh man, where's Donnie C? Where's Donnie, man? Donnie, oh, that really bothers me. He didn't come on. That really bothers me.
Well, they're laying back in the cut, man.
Yeah.
They're laying back in the cut. They're listening, probably.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, a lot of people do that. They listen on the internet and just lean back, yeah. I guess that's it, man. I don't see anybody new else. Wait a second here. Boom, let me scroll down here. There's a couple numbers here I don't recognize. So there could be some of the people you requested to call in. I don't know.
You were asking about Julian Assange. That's what's in the chat room.
There he is. There she is, I mean. What's going on?
You were asking about Julian Assange, and I put the information out. He arrived in
I know. I see it now.
Yeah.
Sally, I got so much going on today, man, with him tearing down my woods. I mean, my mind is just devastated. My body's devastated. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I went out there and started taking pictures, and I thought I was going to get into a fight with all of them, you know? They were, they were chesting, puffing out their chest and everything, and I mean, I went out there on a tank top, so, and I'm pretty well built. They probably thought I was trying to challenge him or something. I don't know. I thought about it later. I said, yeah, maybe that's probably how they took it, So, but hey, it's my house. It's my road, Get the hell out of here,
Yeah, well, who approved it? Who approved the development? You got to go back and find who they are.
I don't know. How do I find that? That's what I wanted to ask him, actually. I forgot to ask him that. How do I find out that information?
Well, I would go back to your county commission to begin with. What's going on with this road development out here? They had to know something about it. There had to be public hearings out there to approve it. And they probably never properly posted them. They always play games on
They didn't properly post nothing. I'm going to tell you that right now. They never posted nothing properly.
You got a cause against them to say that they have to start over again if they didn't properly post the hearings for it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. They're not going to do that. They won't do that. They're just going to brush me off to the side and say, "The hell with him. Hurt him, get this done because he's going to cause problems." That's probably what they're saying right now.
Well, it's just interesting. Nobody. There must not have been hardly any outcry about it when they were doing all of it. That's the worst thing.
I mean, me. I'm a gossip guy. I would have heard something, man. I would have heard something going on.
Yep.
It's got me really upset, though.
But by the way, Joe, there was a little glimmer of light on the election integrity front today in Michigan. Did you hear about it?
No, what happened?
Well, the Republican National Committee announced yesterday they sued Michigan Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson because she was giving election officials improper guidance. She was telling the clerks and the election officials to process and count mail ballots that did not include stub numbers. And the court said, the Michigan High Court said that absentee ballots have to be corrected. And the Secretary Benson, who opposed the suit, even acknowledged at the hearing that voter fraud could be committed through ballots that do not have matching serial numbers. And so the Republican National Committee is applauding the court's finding requiring the Michigan Secretary of State to follow Michigan law. And we've had similar victories in a couple other states around, so it's not a total loss. There are things that are being done. It ain't enough, but it's better than it was. Put it that way.
Yeah. We talked about this on Saturday, Sarge, with the voting, I mean, with the machines and everything. Once it goes to the cloud, I don't know what Sally's thoughts are on this, but once it goes to the cloud and you enter in your vote, it can't come back out of that cloud and change down for the lower number. It can't do that. Because it's just not the computer. It's just something, I forgot how he explains, a firewall or something, or a security patch, how it's done. The computer will not, it's kind of, I don't know how to pronounce this, man. Or how I would say this. It just can't do it. It defeats the laws of physics, I guess you could say, or logic, It just doesn't work like that to me. But we've seen that happen in 2020. We saw that happen, So it doesn't make any sense. So something just is off here.
I got another hot topic for you that really is kind of makes you say, Jesus Christ, the nerve of these people. Justice calls for Elon Musk to be deported.
Elon Musk must be deported. What's up with that?
Elon must be deported. Keith Olbermann, that idiot. He wants Elon Musk to be deported. He's saying that. Listen, get to what he's saying now. And a lot of leftists think like this. That's why I'm bringing this up. Because who cares about Keith Olbermann? But a lot of them think like he says that President Biden should use presidential immunity to get his ass out of the country. Presidential immunity now. And making an official act, he's supposed to deport an individual, order an individual deported out of the country who's a citizen, mind you. Elon Musk is a citizen of the United States. Now, you got to have cause to deport or revoke a citizen's citizenship. That's been done before, like when Nazis lied about who they were in order to get into the country, and that was the basis on which they had their citizenship revoked because they made false statements on their citizenship application.
Yeah.
Now, you're not going to be able to show, I'm certain, that Elon Musk has done anything like that. Yeah. But they just want him deported because of his political activities. And remember, he's a citizen. He's as much a citizen as anybody else in the country, except for the fact he can't be president of the United States or vice president. Other than that, he's exactly the same as every other citizen.
Yep.
But this is the way they think. If they don't like you, they will bend the law and say that presidential immunity somehow would be an official act for Joe Biden to kick Elon Musk out of the country. Because Elon Musk is actually being fairly effective in his advocacy for Donald Trump. And they don't want us to have a George Soros. They don't want that. They want to have all the George Soroses on their side.
Yeah. Well, George Soros, he's a little bit out of his league now, so he's getting, how old is that guy? Got to be, 9,000 years old now?
Upper 90s. He's about 94, 95.
They live forever, don't they, those bastards, huh?
And he has a son.
Huh?
And he has a son who some say is worse than him.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Fun.
Well, another good thing on the front, you do know that our heartbeat law here in Georgia got reinstated, don't you?
Yeah, I heard something about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was gaining traction anyway. I mean, come on.
The Georgia Supreme Court revoked the Fulton County Superior Court judge who declared that our act that we had here was unconstitutional and violated Georgia's constitution, which was a real stretch. It was every bit as much of a stretch as the Roe versus Wade decision was.
Yep.
He said that this law Georgia passed violated a woman's right to bodily autonomy, and there's nothing like that anywhere in the Georgia Constitution.
Yeah. I don't know. What's this thing about the Georgia Constitution? There was something about the Georgia Constitution and Mussolini. Oh man, see, I don't know. I'm betting bad with names tonight. See, what's going on? Let me finish before anybody interrupts me. What happened?
Wait a minute. What you say?
Like
something about the Georgia?
My mind goes blank with names and research. I can't think of things. It's just,
Well, did you say there was something about the Georgia Constitution and Mussolini?
Yeah, there was a story that someone told me about someone told me it was the other night, and I wanted to bring it up on the show the other night, but I couldn't get a word on it edgewise. And then Monday night, which was last night, right? What is it? You were on. What was it? We were on Sally's show, right? I was on Sally's show, and I wanted to bring something up along those lines with that too. But I was waiting for you to come on. But I don't know if you made it on or not. I think I jumped off Sally's show, and then you might have came on, or I don't know. Did you make it on Sally's show last night? Because I know I left early.
Yeah, I got on the show last night. We didn't talk about the Georgia Constitution, though.
Yeah, I know. But I left early, so I didn't catch you last night. You know, so on Sally's show. But anyway, let's just forget it. Anyway, I don't want to go down any more.
That'd be an interesting connection. I wonder how that connection would go. Mussolini with Georgia Constitution. How'd that work? How would that work?
I know. It was a good story too. But anyway, private caller, go ahead. Private caller, you're on.
Hi.
Hello. Ooh.
It's
What's on your mind tonight?
Oh, I was just listening to y'all a few minutes. As far as deporting American citizens, we deported Lucky Luciano. World War II. We sure did. Yep.
That's right. We did, didn't we, Sarge? We deported Lucky Luciano, right?
Yes, they did. You got to remember, the immigration laws were different back then.
Yeah,
that's not why they deported him, though. They deported him.
Why did they deport him?
Because they wanted to import heroin from Italy, and they set up this process with the Catholic, with the Bank of the Vatican to funnel the money. So they brought the heroin into Italy, and he ran the mafia, and he actually gave a lot of power to the Sicilians, and they processed the heroin there, and they shipped it into the jazz clubs in America. And that way the CIA could use that money they made so much money that the Vatican Bank could not handle all the money. So they had to create new banks. Oh, yeah. It's a huge thing.
Yeah, Vatican's loaded. Loaded, you know? I don't even think they know what to do with all the money that they got, actually. That's the problem, because you can only spend so much. And they're not really...
Luciano was never naturalized. He was a resident. He was legally resident. He never naturalized. He was an immigrant.
Oh.
He never naturalized as a United States citizen.
Okay. But Lucky Luciano, though, did he ever come back to the States and get?
No, he never did. Once he got deported, they never let him back in.
Oh. Okay. Well.
But remember, he was never a citizen. He never naturalized. He never took the oath of allegiance to the United States. He was legally resident. He came in through Ellis Island and just stayed. He never went through the citizenship process, and he was legally resident. Yep. But that's why it was easy to deport.
Oh, okay.
It's a lot more difficult. You got to have some kind of grounds to deport a naturalized citizen out of the country, and it's got to be usually that they falsified something on coming into the country, like they did with some of those Nazi concentration camp guards. That was what they used as the basis to deport them, even though they had been granted citizenship.
Well, what were they going after the Nazis for in Argentina? What were they going after Mussolini and everybody down there for?
Why were they going after them? Argentina were Nazis out of Argentina. You had to kidnap them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But how'd they get them out of there? What was the deal?
Oh, the Israelis that's how they got Eichmann out. The Israelis flew a cargo plane under diplomatic with a diplomatic immunity in there, and they smuggled him out in a diplomatic pouch, literally. They smuggled Eichmann out of Argentina. They kidnapped him.
Wow. That must have been
Argentina made a stink about it, too. They made a formal diplomatic protest for the Israelis taking them out of there without their permission. Because countries kind of take it's a big deal when most countries, you take somebody out of the country, whether it's justified or not, without their permission.
Yeah, okay. Oh, no, what was I going to say? No, bring that over here, please. Bring that over here. Thank you. Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. Hey, everybody, what's the shows here this week? What we got left here, coming up here this week, real quick. Recap, go over the shows here real quick. Tomorrow night, who do we got? We got nobody on tomorrow night, right? Thursday night, nobody on. Friday night, Conservative Nation Radio with Mike there. Saturday night, we got Donnie. When's Ron Reck on? Ron Reck, I didn't want to forget about him. Let me promote him now. Ron Reck, Crazy Nation Radio, whenever he's on, usually late at night. Let's see, and then Saturday night, Donnie C., and then Sunday night, Lorianne, and then the cycle starts all over. American Statesman on Monday, and then me on Tuesday. There you go. Wrapped that one up pretty good, huh? Hey, we're going into overtime, folks. In about 6 minutes, anybody wants to hang out, we can. I don't see any reason why not. I mean, if anybody wants to bring something to the table here and have a conversation, 657-383-0616, press 1. Come on, man. We had a good guest on an hour ago, man. It was a good guest, Mr. Alvin Robinson, in case you missed it. Go back and listen to the archives. This guy is a good guy, man. Constitution Party. I mean, straight shooter, well-spoken. Good guy, man. You know, good family guy. He was a deputy, Guilford County Sheriff, firefighter. So, excuse me. Really good guy, man. Hard-working guy. And believes in the Constitution, believes in lawful government, believes in restoring the power to the people and self-governance, man. I mean, you can't beat that. You know, now those are the types of people we need in this country today. 507, I'll bring you on. 507, there you go.
Hey.
Hello.
Hi, Joe.
Hey, Sarah, how you doing? How you
I'm
doing?
good.
What's going on?
You know.
Are you still out in Minnesota? Are you still out in Minnesota or no?
I'm in Minnesota, yep.
Huh?
Yep,
oh, okay.
Heck yeah.
How's Rashid Talib Rashid Malib how's she doing?
Just fine.
I mean, she is. I mean, how's her district? Remember we called the district on Zoom? Remember we called them up one time and asked if they accepted Federal Reserve notes?
Oh yeah, Jamie.
Remember that one?
Yeah, she went around, Walmart and asked everybody if they take Federal Reserve notes, and they didn't even know what they were.
Yeah. They
That's
didn't know
funny.
what the hell they were.
The full guys.
What is it? Did you get a hold of your friend's, your girlfriend's friend or
yet.
whatever it is to? Not
Her
yet.
Sister? No, not yet.
Yeah.
She moved to Florida actually. Last I heard. She could be having a hard time.
I was listening to that show, Sarah. I was listening to that show the other night. Actually, I just happened to click on it, and that was a pretty emotional show. I about that one, man. She was pretty broken up about that, which rightfully so.
It killed her.
Her son was, everybody that's listening right now, her son was murdered by the DEA, and it's a very powerful story. And I mean, she came on my show, gave me I think I was the only one she told at that time, when it first happened. And it was very, obviously she just lost her son, and it was bad, man. It was a bad situation. And she's never gotten justice, I take, still to this day.
Never has.
It's just, man,
they let him
live with that for the rest of your life,
They called it over the phone, and they let him lay there for 8 hours right there. They didn't cover him up or nothing in his front yard.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Let him lay there, folks. Lay there. He's out in the open for 8 hours, Man.
And all he was doing was
Animals.
walking back. They were in his neighborhood because they were following somebody. They had been following somebody been watching him, and they followed him into the neighborhood, and they lost him, and they seen her son, I can't remember his name, Cody, or I just found it too.
Yeah.
Hostage, to stop. And in Missouri, you can openly carry. You can openly carry in Missouri, so he had a gun on his side. Yep, when they shot him.
Now let me ask you something. Something, Sarah. If you let me, what happens if you shot a cop? I mean, just by accident. Yeah.
There's no accident. You shoot a cop and you're going to jail.
Yeah.
There's no accident there.
Oh, go ahead and shoot a cop. Kamala Harris will bail you out.
Yeah, they came into his yard. They're in his yard, and they had him on his knees, and they shot him point blank in the head. He was already down. It wasn't like he was resisting or anything. Yeah.
Bad.
Pretty horrific.
She came on my show, Sarge, after it happened. told the whole story, man. It was, you know, she was crying. I mean, she was upset, very upset, you know. Bad.
Yeah.
You know, it was an emotional show. I was listening to it the other night. I said, wow, well, here it is, too. We were just talking about that, you know, and it just happened to pop up, you know, out of all my shows. Sometimes I listen to them, you know, just to check, you know, go back and listen to the archives. And bam, there it was, that show, you know, and I was like, wow. You know, so that's like a sign, I guess, you know, omen.
Hey, I got a good sign, a good omen for you. Guess who a new a level of support that just appeared for Kamala Harris? $100,000 campaign ad targeting proposals to ban pornography. They call it the Hands Off My Porn campaign. It's going to run in 7 swing states. They'll try to convince young men to vote for Kamala Harris. Now, they're going to run these advertisements in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada. So now she's got the abortion industry on the side, and she's got the porn industry on the side. I'm just saying.
You know this guy.
And I'm all for free speech. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for free speech. I'm just noting.
Wow. I tell you, this country has gone to hell. And just like we used to tell Sarah Mendelicon there on the air there. You know, she knew Mendelicon, Sarge. I don't think you ever talked to Sarge on here. Have you, Sarah?
What's that?
Oh, yeah, I talk to him all the time. Yeah, sure.
Sarge, you ever talk to no, Sarge, I'm asking her. Do you remember Sarge?
Oh, me and Mendelicon used to go around and around all the time. We had a real nice love-hate relationship.
I love Mendelicon. Mendelicon. Yeah, I still got the flag.
Oh, yeah, I liked him too.
Yeah, and he loves me too.
Yeah.
No, he did. He used to call me all the time privately, actually. He always called me. Only one night, freaking 2 o'clock in the morning. Waking me up.
Yeah,
you know?
That's why we got along so well, because he was up late.
Yeah. Calling me up. He's like, I got to talk to you about something. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, man. I got to go work in the morning. You know, so. But, yeah, man, he was something else, you know. So, but, the things that this government has done and the crimes that are unpunished, you know, it's just to think that, you know, look, I mean, I know we can't be judge and jury, but at the same time, we're a constitutional republic and we have the principles, the statutes and laws in place. Or what do you always say, Sarah? I'm a statue. I'm a human being, not a statue. We've got these policies in place, but they are not enforced with one section of society, and that's the tyrannical side of society. Not all the time, but you know, some of the time. And if it's only once where somebody gets away with murdering one, right? That's too many times. It should never happen. You know, not with the system we have in place. What do you think, guys?
I agree. Definitely.
Yeah.
They're screwing us up.
Yeah.
Now,
another caller here. I'm going to unmute you real quick. And then I'm not going to – I got one private caller. I'll leave you muted because I don't know who you are, and you probably want your line muted. If you want to be unmuted, just press 1. And let's see, I got another person put their hand up here. Go ahead. Because we're going into overtime. We'll spend a few minutes into overtime, and then that'll be it. So, but go ahead. All right, go ahead, Sarah. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I agree with you. They are corrupting us. Things are just not right. People need to learn shit that they should have taught us and they haven't. You know, like I don't even know where to begin anymore. It's been so long since I even thought about it. But I've been out of everything for a while. I got an abusive boyfriend for a while, which took up all my time, unfortunately. But he's gone now.
Abusive boyfriend? What happened?
I had for 2.5 years. I got an abusive boyfriend. I kind of got sucked into it, and it was not good. So
no. No.
Yeah, he should go to prison for a
while.
Man,
why didn't you shoot him? You know?
I can't.
Wait a minute. Hey.
I know. I'm only messing around. You know.
Joe,
but that's. Joe. I mean. Yeah.
Joe, look. I know people say I ain't supposed to be talking about Democrats and Republicans, whether there's any difference between them. I know that. I understand why people say that. But I got to say this in response to that. And this is just a fact. You know, did you hear what happened in the FEMA disaster preparedness meeting?
No.
And what was brought up by several of the directors there?
No, what?
And these are people who are advising how to respond to the storm. These are people who have been appointed to the top level of decision making. And one of them said